Perpendicular bisector is, it cuts in half at a 90-degree angle. So for the perpendicular bisector, it's a segment, ray, line, or plane that is perpendicular. And what does perpendicular mean? 90-degree angle. It's perpendicular, 90 degrees, to a segment at its midpoint. Perpendicular and bisect. 90-degree angle, cut in half, okay? The point of intersection of all three perpendicular bisectors of a triangle is called the circumcenter, okay? So let's draw the perpendicular bisectors. Perpendicular bisectors are pretty simple. You find the midpoint and you go up at 90. Does perpendicular bisector necessarily touch the vertex? No, it does not, okay? Here's a right triangle, okay? It doesn't matter. You're just doing midpoints. There's your perpendicular bisector. Midpoint. Perpendicular. So that's one perpendicular bisector for each of these, okay? Now let's look at the other ones. All right, let's bisect this side. Perpendicular. Okay, 90 degrees. Let's bisect this side. Perpendicular, 90 degrees. Okay, let's bisect this side. Perpendicular, 90 degrees. So there I go. I've just bisected the two other sides, or three sides of each of the other triangle, the second side. Let's do the third one. All right, I'm going to bisect this one. Perpendicular. I'm going to bisect this one. Draw your midpoint, draw your perpendicular. This is where they all come together. Bisect this side. Draw your midpoint, draw your perpendicular. Okay? Now, for the right triangle, the perpendicular, the circumcenter is actually going to be on the hypotenuse. Acute triangle is actually going to be inside the triangle, and obtuse, we actually have to come outside for all of them to meet for the circumcenter. Now, why is it called the circumcenter? It's because the center of the circle that you can draw that touches all three vertices. So I could draw a circle here, it touches all three vertices if I were to spin it around the circumcenter. If I spun this one around, it'd be kind of go off the page a little bit, and my circles are not that great, but it would be the center of that circle. This one here, it's too big for me to draw, but it would look like this. It would probably come off the page a little bit, but you could complete the circle all the way around, and it would be the center of the circle that you drew all the way around. Okay, so that's why it's called the circumcenter. Perpendicular bisector, midpoint, 90. Has nothing to do with the vertices. Come down here. AC is a perpendicular bisector of EBD. Because you're told it's a perpendicular bisector, the first thing you should do is make it perpendicular and show the midpoint. Perpendicular bisector. So the measure of angle ACB, which is this one, should equal the measure, should equal 90, right? Isn't that what perpendicular means? So the measure of ACD should also equal 90 because it's a perpendicular bisector. BC should be congruent to CD because perpendicular bisector means C is the what? Midpoint. It means C is the midpoint. So BD is equal to 2 BCs or 2 CDs because BD is the whole thing. So in order for BC to equal BD, you have to double it. In order for CD to equal the whole thing, you have to double it. So what is the measure? If the measure of angle ACD, this angle right here, is 8x plus 12, what's x? Well, what do you know ACD is? It's a perpendicular bisector, so ACD is a right angle, which means 8x plus 12 would equal 90. And then you'd solve it. So then I'm going to subtract the 12. So 8x equals 78. I'll write it up over here. And then you divide both sides by 8. So x is going to equal, it's going to be 9.7 something. So about 9.7. So x is about 9.7. Okay, so 9.7 is the value of x. Now coming down here, it says, all right, what if BC is 2x plus 7? That's this piece. And BD is 10x minus 4. Okay, so BD is 10x minus 4, the whole thing. Well, what do you know about BD? It's twice this one, right? So the way you would set it up is the 10x minus 4 is equal to twice the 2x plus 7, because the 2x plus 7 is only half, 10x plus 4 is all the way across. So 10x minus 4 equals 4x plus 14. Then I'm going to solve. So I'm going to subtract the 4x. So 6x minus 4 equals 14. I'm going to add the 4 to both sides. So 6x equals 18. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So x equals 3. And that's all they tell you to find is 3. If you want to check your answer, you can plug the 3 in. If I plug 3 in here, 2 times 3 plus 7, 6 plus 7 is 13. If I plug the 3 in here, 10 times 3 minus 4 is 26. 13 is half of 26. So that's how you use the perpendicular bisector.